The Brave and the Bold, number 29, May 1960. Inside their headquarters, the Justice League is immobilized at their round table, gripped by an unseen force. A futuristic figure, the self-proclaimed Weapons Master, claims to have traveled 10,000 years from the future to challenge the League. This confrontation has already been chronicled in the future as a historic defeat for the Justice League. In the year 11,960, arch-criminal Zotar is cornered by the Intersolar Police inside a high-tech cavern. He possesses 4 futuristic weapons, but knows the authorities have counters for 3 of them, though he doesn't know which one is safe to use. Rather than risk choosing the wrong one and being captured, he opts to escape. Using a giant robot that doubles as a time machine, he travels 10,000 years into the past with the intention of testing each weapon against the Justice League. His goal is to learn which device is effective and then return to his time to defeat the authorities before they can apprehend him. In his panic, he seems to have forgotten that he can just abuse the time travel machine and repeatedly go back in time until he finds the weapon the authorities have no defense for. Zotar consults a degraded ancient book, authored by Wonder Woman, which describes a future battle between the Justice League and himself. Although much of the text is unreadable, he finds confirmation that one of his 4 weapons succeeded in defeating the League. Unable to determine which one it was, he prepares all 4: the Microscopeter, the De-Evolutionizer, a weapon discovered in Andromeda's ruins, and another once intended for a tyrant from Aldebaran. While traveling through time, the robot is revealed to be Illyric, a once independent master robot of Illyrium. It had developed the ability to travel through time, but Zotar betrayed it. After Illyric built the time machine into its own body, Zotar severed its control systems and took over. Now, under Zotar's command, Illyric becomes a vessel for his schemes. Meanwhile, in 1960, Snapper Carr is skating when the robot suddenly appears above the frozen pond. A massive claw reaches toward him, startling Snapper as he tries to scramble away from its grip. Onlookers are disappointed when the robot doesn't take the opportunity to pop Snapper like an overripe tomato. Snapper Carr recalls being made an honorary Justice League member and receiving an emergency signal belt. He activates it, triggering an alert to the League. The signal spreads in all directions, summoning the members of the JLA, and they immediately head toward their hidden headquarters. However, Superman does not respond, and the reason remains unknown. Upon arrival, the heroes find Snapper already seated, appearing weirder than usual, a strange voice issuing through him. Using Snapper as a conduit, Zotar announces that each Justice League member will face him individually to help determine which weapon is most effective. Flash is chosen first. John Jones objects, suggesting a coordinated attack, but a yellow gravitic ray suddenly immobilizes the entire group. Green Lantern is particularly affected, as his power ring is useless against anything yellow. The beam holds them fast in their chairs, ensuring Zotar can control the order of battle. Flash, however, escapes the beam by vibrating at high speed, and prepares to face the first challenge. Flash races across the icy terrain outside the League's sanctuary, pursuing the shimmer of Zotar's robot, which remains just out of reach. Flash reflects on the clue given to him by Zotar. When the ghost walks at Hesperus on the 2nd day of the moonless month, I am waiting to do battle. Zotar, meanwhile, guides the robot down a country road, confident that Flash will arrive too late. Flash sprints through the town of Middledale, and deduces that "when the ghost walks" is slang for payday. To decipher Hesperus, he decides to consult the local library for further clarification. In the Middledale Library, Flash rapidly flips through volumes until he identifies Hesperus as a name for the planet Venus. Realizing that Project Venus is a real rocket initiative in Florida, he connects the clues. February, with its short duration, occasionally results in a moonless month, and today is also payday. These conditions match Zotar's riddle. Flash bolts toward Florida, covering the distance in seconds. At the missile base, he alerts General Morgan Anderson and Civilian Chief Warner Hunter, both of whom realize the urgency of stopping Zotar's interference. General Anderson and Warner Hunter urge Flash to act quickly as Zotar's robot arrives at the missile base. Flash accelerates across the field to intercept him before he can damage Project Venus. Zotar fires a high-tech beam that narrowly misses. Flash believes he can avoid every strike, but is suddenly hit. The strange energy causes him to shrink in size, a side effect of the Microscopeter. Despite Flash's efforts to dodge, he is struck repeatedly by the microscopitor beam, each hit reducing his size further. He realizes Zotar seems to anticipate his every move, predicting his direction before he even decides it. Now, only a foot tall, Flash remains determined to advance but is hit again. Vibrating at immense speed, he drills underground like a corkscrew and vanishes from Zotar's view. With his thoughts hidden, Zotar loses track of him. Flash, now just 3 inches tall, enters the robot's structure and begins moving through its inner systems. Zotar searches for Flash, aware that the shrinking will reverse unless the beam continues to strike him. Suddenly, the microscopitor begins to melt. Flash, now inside the robot, is moving so rapidly that his speed generates intense heat, damaging the weapon. The machine's housing deforms as Flash races around the beam's core. Zotar ejects the damaged weapon and Flash from the robot. Now that Flash is expelled, he rapidly regains his size as the robot fades from view. Confused about Zotar's location, he watches the area as the next phase begins. The robot reappears at the League's base 1 minute after Flash originally left. The team remains immobilized by the gravitic beam. Wonder Woman expresses concern about Flash's fate, and J'onn J'onzz reassures her, citing Flash's undefeated track record. Zotar interrupts, clarifying that Flash overcame the microscopitor. He explains that he time-traveled back to this point immediately after Flash left, giving him about an hour before the speedster returns. With the first test complete, Zotar announces he will now deploy the second of his 4 weapons. Zotar releases Aquaman and J'onn J'onzz from the gravitic beam, announcing they will face his second weapon. He gives a riddle-like clue. I will strike where the sun rises in the west and sets in the east. As the robot vanishes, Aquaman and John deduce this describes the Isthmus of Panama. And since they both already knew the answer to the riddle, they then proceed to unnecessarily provide exposition to each other about why Panama Canal's unusual orientation causes such a reversal. Aquaman and John head toward the Atlantic. John uses his Martian breath to propel Aquaman swiftly atop a giant sailfish. Upon reaching Panama, John ascends for a scan of the area and spots Zotar heading for the canal. As the heroes move to engage, the robot swings around and Zotar fires the de-evolutionizer, striking John with a blast of destructive energy. Zotar believes he has succeeded after firing the de-evolutionizer at J'onn J'onzz, imagining the Martian has been reverted to a microscopic form. But shortly after, Zotar's view window turns black and he is unable to see. Unknown to him, Aquaman has commanded nearby octopi to release clouds of protective ink, obscuring the robot's sensors. Initially unsure if John was destroyed, Aquaman recalls the Martian's ability to turn invisible. Realizing John must be concealing himself without powers, Aquaman shifts tactics. He dives beneath the waves to stay hidden while planning to distract Zotar. Meanwhile, the octopi follow his command, linking their limbs together into a chain and beginning to drag the robot into deeper ocean water. As the robot is pulled into deeper water, Zotar clears his view using mechanical wipers and fires the de-evolutionizer at the octopi, dragging his machine. The blast strikes several of the sea creatures, reverting them into primitive forms. Despite this, Aquaman summons giant clams that clamp tightly onto the robot's legs, anchoring it in place. Zotar becomes frustrated as he cannot move the machine or locate Aquaman underwater. Meanwhile, on shore, J'onn J'onzz becomes visible again and regains his powers. He uses Martian breath to spin a column of sand until it glows from friction. He mixes extracted materials from the soil at high temperature to form glass, then coats it with silver, turning it into a mirror for use in their counterattack. J'onn J'onzz approaches the time robot while holding his mirror behind his back. As Zotar aims the de-evolutionizer at him, John raises the reflective surface. The beam strikes the mirror and is redirected back at the robot. The blast causes the diamond barrel of the weapon to revert to its raw components. The reflected energy de-evolutionizes the barrel into pure carbon, rendering the weapon useless. With his second weapon defeated, Zotar quickly ejects it and activates the robot's time travel controls. Zotar retreats through time, declaring that 2 weapons remain and that one of them must be capable of defeating the Justice League. The robot returns to League headquarters just 1 minute after Aquaman and J'onn J'onzz departed. Zotar reappears, now initiating his third challenge. The gravitic beam is deactivated, releasing Batman, Wonder Woman, and Green Lantern. Then Zotar delivers a cryptic clue referencing a location above the living stone of the ring-necked pheasant. Batman and Wonder Woman note the rising stakes and the threat Zotar poses. Green Lantern questions why Superman has yet to respond to the emergency signal. Batman suggests he may know why Superman hasn't responded and sets off to investigate. Meanwhile, Wonder Woman and Green Lantern head after Zotar. They deduce the meaning behind Zotar's riddle. Living stone refers to sculpted natural rock, and the ring-necked pheasant is the state bird of South Dakota. They conclude the location must be Mount Rushmore. Approaching from different angles, the two heroes close in on the robot. Zotar identifies their positions and readies his third weapon, the Magneto Bubble. Yellow bubbles emerge from his device, specifically targeting Wonder Woman as the initial test subject. Wonder Woman and her robot plane become trapped inside a yellow magnetic bubble and are drawn into the sky. The bubble is magnetically attracted to the star Capella, located 250 trillion miles from Earth. Zotar anticipates that if the Amazon survives the long trip, the heat of the star will still destroy her. Green Lantern, unable to use his power ring directly on Yellow, leaps into action just as the bubble lifts off. He recognizes the limitation but quickly formulates a plan. Using his ring, he creates a bolide, a bright meteor designed to explode during its flight. He times the impact so that the resulting shockwave and vibration will disrupt the bubble's magnetic structure. The explosion of Green Lantern's bolide shatters the magnetic bubble, freeing Wonder Woman mid-flight. She regains control of her robot plane and joins Green Lantern to confront Zotar. Meanwhile, Zotar observes the rescue and regrets not targeting Green Lantern first. As Zotar fires the Magneto Bubble weapon repeatedly, he is confused by its failure to strike the Emerald Warrior. Unknown to him, Wonder Woman has already reached the robot and discreetly placed her lasso around the barrel of the weapon, subtly interfering with its function. Realizing that Green Lantern saved her, she now decides it is her moment to return the favor. Wonder Woman clings to the robot and subtly jostles the barrel of Zotar's Magneto Bubble weapon, carefully misaligning each shot just enough to prevent a hit. As the yellow bubbles pass harmlessly by, Green Lantern gathers a mound of clay from the ground below. Knowing his power ring cannot affect anything yellow, even the window of Zotar's weapon, he instead uses the clay directly. With precision and force, he rams the clay into the muzzles of the weapon, clogging them and rendering the device useless. Recognizing another failure, Zotar ejects the weapon and retreats once again through time. As Green Lantern and Wonder Woman regroup, they reflect on the defeat of the third weapon. Zotar, however, believes his fourth and final weapon is truly invincible and prepares to use it against the entire Justice League at once. The Justice League reconvene at headquarters, returning from their victories in Panama, South Dakota, and the Project Venus missile base. Zotar once again speaks through Snapper Carr, issuing his final and boldest challenge, this time to the entire League simultaneously. He summons them to the Valley of the 10,000 Smokes and warns that historical records already show their defeat at the hands of his most powerful weapon. The League, undeterred, rally together, agreeing that no matter what the future may claim, they've beaten Zotar before and are ready to face whatever this last challenge brings. The Justice League speeds toward Alaska's Valley of the 10,000 Smokes, traveling by land, air, and sea. Flash runs the coastline while Aquaman swims below, because neither Green Lantern, John Jones, or Wonder Woman would do the practical thing and airlift him to the destination. They arrive at the valley's fumaroles, and Zotar greets them with a declaration of inevitable defeat. Zotar activates his fourth weapon, and a strange radiation envelops the heroes, disorienting them and lifting them off Earth. They regain their senses on an unknown planet illuminated by twin green suns. The League realizes the scale of the threat. The weapon has transported them across space. As they orient themselves, a pack of large, aggressive alien creatures emerges, rushing toward them across the alien terrain. The Justice League reacts quickly to the alien threat. Flash generates a whirlwind around one monster, but the beast powers through it. Wonder Woman lassos another creature, only for it to break free, something that has never happened before. John Jones finds his telepathy ineffective against a fire-breathing dragon. Aquaman's commands fail to control a sea serpent, and Green Lantern's power ring is unable to stop a giant bird. One by one, their powers fail to subdue the alien creatures. Meanwhile, Zotar observes with satisfaction. The fourth weapon, it turns out, is not a transporter but an illusion maker. The League has not left Earth. They are attacking imaginary threats and unknowingly using their powers against one another, setting the stage for their own destruction. The League begins to realize the illusion as Flash narrowly avoids a blast from Green Lantern, and John Jones warns Wonder Woman not to strike with her lasso. Suddenly, the alien planet vanishes, revealing their true location back in Alaska's Valley of 10,000 Smokes. Superman and Batman arrive with Snapper Carr, having tracked the League's alarm across time. Superman races into action, seizing the robot and flying it high into the atmosphere. Batman explains that their signal couldn't reach Superman while he was in time travel, but they located him just in time. Superman power dives back toward Earth, accelerating rapidly before slamming the robot halfway into the ground. With a final act of strength, he crushes the illusion-making weapon, ending Zotar's final threat. Superman breaks into the time-traveling robot and alters the controls, ensuring Zotar can never return to their era. He activates the machine and departs just before it returns to the year 11,960. Moments later, in the distant future, the Intersolar Police breach Zotar's lair, and he surrenders without resistance. As he is led away, he wonders how his defeat occurred, convinced he had read of his victory in Wonder Woman's ancient memoir. Back in the present, the League gathers again, and Flash reminds Wonder Woman to record their latest mission. She begins writing immediately, and the truth is revealed. The reference Zotar read was misinterpreted, as Wonder Woman's account described his failure, not his success.